Don't make me post a throwback photo. But I always knew that my version of beauty
is different.
It was different, and it was gorgeous. Just as valuable.
Yes, I've always been so perplexed with this idea that Whoopi Goldberg is ugly.
Raise a glass to the past, present, and future you with actress Danielle Monet Truitt as she dives into the beautiful complexities of life's journey through real, transparent conversation. All the women I've been made me into who I've become.
Welcome back to another episode of All the Women I've Been. I am Danielle Monet Truitt. I am really excited about today's episode. It is with the incredible Bevy Smith. She is a television personality, host, author, and I would describe her as somewhat of a fairy godmother. She's a beautiful spirit, and we are going to have an amazing conversation that I cannot wait for you guys to experience. So, welcome back, All the Women I've Been. Bevy, hey! Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here with you. You know I love me some you.
I know you do, and it makes me, I don't know, I just feel very special that you embraced me. I know we met, oh gosh, it was probably, I think it was 2000, it had to be 2017 at Sundance. Yep.
So it's been a little bit.
Yeah. That's
almost 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did a panel discussion with John Singleton, and you were the moderator.
Yep.
And just from the first time I met you, laid eyes on you, you were just like, embraced me. So
I love talented people, and I love to see Black women striving and doing amazing things, and that definitely is you. So how could I not embrace you?
I think it's important for those of us that are, you've been in the industry for a while, and for those of us who are coming up in the industry, just to have, women who are supporting us and cheering us along and kind of bringing us into the fold. And I want to be that for those who are coming up behind me.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's important. I think that a lot of times in this business, people are so territorial about relationships and about the rooms that they get to be in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's bring everybody up into the room.
Exactly.
I mean, especially if you've shown yourself to be worthy of being in the room.
Yeah.
You got to do the work.
Of course.
You can't just show up in the room because you're pretty or whatever.
Right.
I mean, there are rooms where you can just show up in the room because you look good.
Right. Yeah.
But, the kind of rooms that I actually curate and the kind of rooms that I gravitate towards are rooms that are based on people doing the work.
Yeah.
And you have certainly done the work. So that's why you will always be in any room that I'm in. Okay.
Thank you. So recently you invited me to one of your dinners. So those of you that don't know, Miss Bevy Smith, she's a host. You're an author, like, you are a connector. I have to say, I feel like I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but you're like a bridge. Like, you bring people together, and you don't, like you said, people get very territorial about the rooms they're in, the relationships they have, but you have such a free and inviting spirit to where hooking somebody else up or bringing this person together, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, And I think that's one of the things in the industry. People are so afraid. There's a spirit of fear that comes on a lot of people, and they feel like, if I give this person this opportunity, then I'm not going to have something. And the truth of the matter is there's enough for all of us.
There really is. And what's for you is actually for you. We say that a lot, but it's really true. It's like, really, honestly, no one can take something from you.
Right. Yeah.
The universe is always going to provide.
Exactly.
And the universe is always going to, if you let spirit guide you, if you tap in, you know who you are, and you know whose you are, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about, I'm missing out on this, that, or the third. There's so many rooms that I'm still not in, but when I tell you, I don't worry about those rooms.
No, because they're not for you right now.
I'm like, it's fine, I'll do the work. Alfre Woodard does this wonderful event that she doing Oscars, where she has all these black actresses that come together. And I've been invited because one of the people that underwrites her dinner, I'm friendly with the brand, and they've had me come for cocktails. So for cocktails, there's maybe 5 of us that are not in that space.
Okay.
And then once cocktails in, Alfie says goodnight to us, and then it's just those actresses. And it's like, instead of feeling a way about that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm actually acting now. So one day, Alfie Woodard will invite me to stay for the entire event.
Yes.
I'm willing to wait until that time comes. I gotta do my work.
And you know, a lot of people don't, I think a lot of people don't understand that, especially in this day and age when everything comes so fast. They think that they're owed things prior to the timing. And some of it is the work, putting in the work, but also a lot of it is just timing. Like there is a time and a place for everything under the sun.
Yes.
And so even if you have worked really hard, until it's your time for whatever season you're supposed to be going into, it's not going to happen until it's your time. You
Exactly.
know? So yeah, I think that's so important to, you know, to remember. But recently you hosted a dinner, and that's, you know, part of your brand is Dinner with Bevy.
Yep.
And you always have, you know, you have these gatherings of people. And I know a couple years ago you invited me to a dinner, but I couldn't come because of my work schedule.
Yes.
I was so mad. I was like, no. I got off too late, so I couldn't go. But I was so happy that you invited me to the It Gets Greater Later dinner.
Wow.
When I tell you, Bevy, like that dinner, I still think about it and smile because it really touched my heart. Like, it felt so good to just be in a room with, you know, 12 other women who were just open and loving and accomplished and just cool, you know? And it wasn't pretentious.
No.
You know, I think one of the things I struggle with in the industry is a lot of people have pretense about them.
Yes.
And
Doing too much.
Yeah, doing too much, looking down on people, being cliquey. And that's why me and John were like this, John Singleton, because he is the least the least pretentious person in this industry that you would meet. Like he was just he was just himself, you know? And those are the kind of people that I gravitate to, you know? And so I was so excited just to be invited, didn't even know really what it was.
No, and I love that too. Everyone in the room was like, I didn't know what it was, but they trust me, and that means a lot to me. That means I've been doing the work, and that means that my brand is synonymous with, well, if it's Bevy doing it, you know it's going to be a good thing. It doesn't matter. You don't have to even know what it is, because so many women in the room were like, well, I didn't know what it was, but I said, you know, I'm going to come.
Yeah, but we trust you, so we know it's going to be of quality, you know? And it was like not knowing what it was one thing, but then when you got there, you're like, oh my God, this is gorgeous, number one. Like the place was gorgeous. And then women, what am I trying to say? The type of women that were there, all of us are accomplished in what we do. And what comes along with being accomplished in what you do is a heavy burden and a load where you're basically taking care of people, taking care of things, paying for everything, managing everything. So to be able to come into a space that's gorgeous and free for you, where you just get to receive the whole night, I think that is something beautiful for women, and especially Black women we're the mule. I did a play called The Mountaintop, and
of course.
Camille, one of her lines, Love Couture, one of her lines was, Black women, the mule of the world. Yes. Like that's kind of what has been placed upon us, you know, is for us a heavy load and to carry so many people, you know. And so to come in there and just see all those beautiful Black women and just to be just treated the way we were treated, it was a beautiful thing. And I think for me, it was extra encouraging because, like I briefly mentioned, a week prior to that, I hosted a brunch in LA called the Her Experience that has the exact same focus
Yeah,
to
the same
uplift women.
intention, right?
The same
Yeah.
intention. So it was just a confirmation that I think there's a group of us, and I don't know how many there are
Yeah.
all over the world,
Yes.
that I feel God has put on our hearts that it's time for us to just uplift one another, and it not be about what you do for a living, how much you've accomplished, but how is your heart?
How is your heart? Also, too, like, because of course there's always been that trend of women's empowerment brunches and things like that. And, also you have to be careful with those kind of things, because oftentimes those things are like a money grab, and the women that are putting them on are not always so gracious and different things like that.
Right.
And so, also, too, I keep mine small. I don't like a big event.
Yeah.
And, it's something very interesting. It's always been a bit of a challenge for me. So many people want to come to the different things that I do, but it's like, I like a small room. I like to be able to lay eyes on every single person. I like to know every person. I like to be able to consume everyone that's in the room. And if it's like, honestly, if it's 50 people in the room, you can't do that.
It's hard, yeah.
And then the guests can't really get to know each other either, right? And one of the things I really pride myself on is that you're never going to come to a dinner with Bevy and know everyone.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
If I do that, then I failed. Because
So true.
I don't like going to a place where I know everybody.
Right.
Well, now, I got dressed up and came to I see these people all the time.
Right.
Why am I here?
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, when I go out with an intention to meet new people, and not to network, but to connect.
Yes. There's
Networking,
a difference.
yes, networking is so predatory. It's like, you're like, so Deborah Martin Chase is in the room.
Love her.
So,
I sat next to her.
You know why I put you there.
Yes.
You know why I
Yes,
put you
yes.
there. Because she's a producer of not only TV, but also a film,
Theater.
but also a theater.
Yes.
Tony Award winning.
Yeah.
So I know that you started out as a stage actress. So why wouldn't I put you next to Deborah Martin
Right.
Chase?
Intentional.
It's
Yes.
very intentional. But, a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, there's Deborah Martin Chase and I want to get next to her. No, we're not going to have that.
Yeah.
It's also another reason why there's no last names on the place cards.
Love it. Yeah.
Because what you're not going to do is sit down and be
And
like,
start Googling people.
who is
what
this?
can I get from this person?
Right. So
Yeah.
we avoid that.
I love
So,
that.
these are all the things that we do. And again, keeping it small really helps with the intimacy. And as you know, there are things that happen in that room that we won't ever talk about publicly. But people shared stories,
Yes.
tough stories,
Yes.
and also heartwarming stories,
Yeah.
But it was a room there was a lot of emotion. And to your point, it's because we needed it.
Yes. And it challenged me because I'm an extrovert when I'm around people I know.
Yeah.
When I'm around people I don't know, I get very shy.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about you is you don't allow people to be shy. So as soon as I got in there, and as soon as somebody knew, wow, this is Danielle Monet Truitt, and you just brag on everybody so they don't have to brag on themselves, you know? I think that's so beautiful about you. Like you're just always lifting everyone. But it was challenging for me what was most challenging for me is after the dinner, is to say, I met these awesome women. Am I just gonna be like, okay, I met these awesome women and just go on about my life? Or am I gonna be intentional about trying to keep in touch?
Yes,
That's the hard part
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Because I
think
get in my
that's for all of
head.
us.
Yeah, I get in my head and I'm like, are they, are they gonna want to talk to me or whatever? But it's just like, okay, Lord, whoever I end up connecting with, cool, and whoever I don't, cool. But when we come back together, it's gonna be all love.
It's gonna be all love. And also too, one of the things, and this is something I really do believe in. I believe, because I work with celebrities all the time. I interview celebrities all the time. I have very few celebrity friends. But the few celebrities that are in my phone that I actually will call, like, I will text you. You know what I mean? And there's a few people that I have that with. But I always like to tell people, I believe in the 3-time rule. I believe it takes 3 times to be in a space with someone to really know if you want to
Connect
with them in a real big, meaningful way.
Right.
But here's the beauty of what Dinner with Bevy did, what I hope did. So it's award season. You're going to be in rooms.
Yeah.
You're going to see one of those ladies. You're going to be able to come up and be like, hi, remember me before? It gets greater later, Dinner with Bevy.
Yes.
And because that was such a small, intimate thing, you guys are a part of a club, a part of a very small group.
Yes.
So that automatically means, because no one I invited is shady.
Right.
I didn't invite any
Everybody's
assholes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So that means that they're going to receive you, you'll receive them.
Yeah.
And then we go from there.
Yes.
You know, we build upon it.
Yes.
But it's really I just try to set the foundation for new relationships to flourish.
I love that. Okay, so the title of it was It Gets Greater Later.
It Gets Greater Later.
So, okay, at the dinner, we had all these questions that kind of revolved around that, but It Gets Greater Later, we've heard that before, but it is like your mantra. It's like
My
what you
mantra
live
that
by.
I
It's
trademarked.
trademarked. Okay,
Well, I
trademarked.
trademarked
I
it.
love it.
Listen, I learned from Paris Hilton, because she trademarked "That's hot." People had said that before, but she trademarked that phrase.
Yeah.
And Kris Jenner trademarked momager, which I'm very bitter about because
Really?
Brandy's mom
Damn.
was a momager.
Yeah.
Ashanti's mom was a momager, but it was Kris Jenner
But she trademarked
that
it.
trademarked
They
it.
didn't think to trademark
They didn't
it.
think,
Yeah.
because whoever thinks to trademark a phrase like that. But once I saw that was a thing,
Yeah.
and I knew that It Gets Greater Later was my purpose,
Yes.
and that's really what's going to be my legacy, I was like,
Yes.
oh yeah, this needs to be trademarked.
So talk to me about that. Like, when did that come into your spirit that this is your purpose, and how is it playing out in your life, right now?
Well, the funniest thing is that it's an old school, like, hustler term. It gets greater later. It's like really a nightlife term, and it's really centered around, how can I put this politely?
Just say it.
It's a nightlife term,
Okay.
meaning that,
As the
kind of
night
like the
goes
freaks
on.
come out at night.
Right, yeah. Like, as the night goes on, it's gonna
It
get
gets
greater
greater
later. Right.
So it's really very
Yeah.
risque, and it's very,
I love it.
yes,
Yeah,
me
yeah.
too. I appreciate it. And I was watching a show called Hookers on Hunts Point, and they had a special for the Atlantic City version. It was two whores named Tia and sex workers named Tia and Sunshine. And Tia or Sunshine said to the other, because they were talking about when they made their most money. And one of them looked at her and said, well, baby, it gets greater later. I said, yes! So when people try to be like, oh, my grandmother used to say, I'm like, well, you need to check your grandmother's background, because if she was saying that, okay.
That
Your
is
grandma,
funny.
yes. But I took that as my mantra. Well, one, I love a sunrise. So I am a late night kind of person. I do love a sunrise.
Yeah.
But I took that, and it kind of became my mantra when I changed careers, because I was an fashion advertising executive for many years. And at the age of 38, I decided I wanted to do this life that I have now. I said,
Do you guys hear that? She decided at age 38 that she was going to pivot into something else. So we get so hung up on age. I'm too old. My time.
No.
As long as you got breath in your body,
Yes.
you can make a decision to follow your dreams or do whatever it is you want. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly, though. As long as you got breath in your body, that's what I always tell people. So I decided to do that, and it was going great. I was doing all the things I wanted to do. I was writing for all kinds of magazines, and I was appearing on TV on like all those like list shows, Fabulous Life of on VH1 and BET and E and all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't making any money at it yet. So from 40 to 45, I was broke. After making like a really great six-figure salary, mid six figures in the early 2000s, which probably is equivalent now to like, say I was probably, making $350. So now it would probably be more like $450 or something. I was making a lot of money. I was making good money.
Yeah.
And I quit to pursue this life, and then I went broke. So imagine going from $350K to $35K.
Oof. Yes.
It's a drastic.
That's a difference.
But In my book, Revelations,
Yes.
I talk about, there's a chapter that I love the most. It's called Broke But Blissful.
Oh, I love that.
And I was so very happy, even though I was broke, because I knew it was a temporary moment.
Yes, and you were doing what you
I was
wanna
doing
do.
what I, and I also understood that it gets greater later. So me being broke was not even, people always say, did you ever think about quitting and going back and getting a job? Never even occurred to me. Because I knew I was going to make it.
Yeah.
I knew I was good on TV.
Yeah.
I knew I was a good writer. I knew I was good with like connecting with people. I knew that whenever I interacted with celebrities, they felt my spirit, which meant that they would, want to be interviewed by me. This whole business, when you're sitting down with people on a one-on-one, folks don't understand that this is connectivity.
Yes.
This is spirit-based work.
Yes.
And if you're going to really sit down with people, the best interviewers are people that connect with folks.
Yeah.
That's the best ones. That's the reason why Oprah was so successful, because
Right.
she was able to sit down and connect with a wide variety of people.
Right.
And I have that gift as well, which is why on my radio show, Revelations.
I've been on it.
Yes. I have like a really wide swath of actors and writers and politicians and singers on the show, because I can connect with most anybody.
Yeah. And you don't ask the
The gotcha questions.
yeah, you just
I'm never
you
gonna ask you a gotcha
questions
question.
that really cause you to have to be insightful and dig deep, which
Yeah.
I enjoy. Clearly, I mean that's
Yeah.
how my podcast is.
Yes, exactly.
I enjoy those kind of conversations.
Yeah, we don't want
that
to
are
be
above the
surface.
Exactly.
We don't want to be surface. And so for me, it gets greater later also is a mantra, and it's a prayer, and it's an affirmation, and it's a lifestyle
Yeah.
that I want people to really kind of take on, especially women, especially Black women. I need people to understand that, we cannot allow aging to deter us from our dreams.
That's right.
But also, it gets greater later is for every stage of your life, because most people start to feel pressure at 18 with the college decision. You graduate college, there's more pressure.
Yes.
Then you get your first job, and then it's like, well, if you're a woman, marriage, children. There's societal pressures at every stage.
Yes.
So it's not like all of a sudden you get to be middle-aged and then all of a sudden you feel pressure about aging. Most people,
You're struggling with it your whole life.
you struggle with your whole life.
Yeah, that's so true.
So I need everyone to know it gets greater later. And for me, it's also, it's tied to suicide prevention as well.
Like, don't give up now, because there's a future ahead of you.
Yes. Do
that's
not
so
give up
good.
now. You think about all the little children that kill themselves every year. Teen suicides are
Yes,
up.
yes.
So it's clearly not just about being middle-aged and being discontent.
Yeah.
Kids are discontent.
Everybody's discontent.
Yeah.
The world that we live in, unfortunately, the media and all that, it kind of thrives on our
Of
discontentment, because we're always purchasing something or buying something or, fixing something,
Yes.
changing
Oh, my
something.
God.
And that's what drives our economy, the discontentment of women in particular,
Of
because we're the
course.
highest consumers,
Yeah.
we're the biggest
Well, it's the
consumers.
devil's work, for sure.
Absolutely.
There's nothing they can sell you that's going to make you better. Nothing.
Never.
That's
Yeah.
an inside job.
Yes, it is.
There's nothing they can sell you.
Yes,
And I'm going
it
to tell you
is.
something else. Some of the prettiest, most wealthy people are some of the most miserable folks.
So true.
And people don't get that. And they think it's like, oh, that's easy to say, I'd rather be miserable in a mansion than, happy in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm like,
No,
no.
I'd rather be happy in a one-bedroom
Yeah,
apartment.
I think you'd probably be, happy in a
And
one-bedroom.
I don't think people realize the weight of success and getting certain opportunities.
Yes,
You know,
there's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight. And I have said this before, but I think it's God's way of keeping us humble. Honestly, like if you were able to have success and there was never a weight to it, then you would take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that, yes, okay, I'm on a TV show working as an actress, which is a dream come true for me, but my kids are in California, I'm a bi-coastal mom, like it adds a weight to it that keeps me grounded, you know?
Yeah.
And I think people just see what you do on
Right.
TV,
And
or,
the
oh,
glitz
she's
and
at
the
this
glam,
event or that event.
yeah.
And they
she
think
has
it's so
these
great.
opportunities. They don't know what it really costs you to
It
have those
costs a lot.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also, too, want us to start thinking about the cost of things and really assessing if it's worth it. That's what we really need to start doing.
And because thinking about whether it's worth it, it also causes you to know more of your value too. Because I think a lot of times for actors, these companies, these networks and things like that, they also play upon your lack, your desperation, your insecurity.
Yes.
Oh, you should be grateful for this job.
Yeah.
You know, everybody doesn't get these opportunities,
Yeah.
you know.
And
it's
they're not lying.
They're not, but every opportunity is not
For
the best
you.
opportunity.
Yeah, everything is not for you.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
And there's a season for everything.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this was right for me for this season. Now it's time for me to, you know, journey on and see what else is out there for me, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I in September of 2019, my TV show Page 6 TV got canceled, and I went to my agents and I said, I don't want to go out for any more pop culture panel shows, talk shows. I really want to focus on acting. So that was September 2019. Of course, in March 2020, we have the pandemic. But 2 days before the world shut down, I went on an audition. And I remember not wanting to go. And I didn't know if I didn't want to go because of the pandemic that was looming. Because, you know, people were getting really sick.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know if I didn't want to go because I was fearful of not doing well at the audition. So I pushed myself and I went. So then the world closed down and I don't hear back, of course, because nothing's in production.
Right.
And then, like, you know, months later, maybe a year later, they call me and they're like, hey, we have a role for you. And that was the first thing I ever did. And that was on the TV show Harlem. And one of the things I'm most proud of is that it started with 3 lines. And I'll never forget, I called Tasha Smith and I said, Tasha, girl, I got this acting job, girl. She said, yes, sister. Yes, girl, what you need from me? I said, I need you to get me together. She said, send over the script. I said, well, it's only 3 lines. She said, well, girl, you don't need nothing for 3 lines. I said, I do, Tasha. She said, I'll give you like an hour or something. I said, Tasha, I probably need like 20 hours. She said, you don't need 20 hours for 3 lines. And I said, yes, I do, Tasha. She said, well, I can't do it because I'm off directing something, but I'll give you one of my coaches. And my coach, Tiffany Black, is amazing. And we worked literally on 3 lines for 10 hours.
Wow.
But you know why we did that? Because Tiffany, and well, first of all, I believe in being overly prepared. It's my first time on a set.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be acting
You're
against...
going to be nervous anyway. So if you don't got to think about your lines and your intentions and what you're doing, that's good.
Yeah. And I'm acting against Megan Good, who's been acting since she was a child. You know what I mean? Tamara Tooney. Like all these people that are seasoned actors.
Yeah.
And then I got to come in there. And I don't want to stink up the joint with 3 lines. So, so Tiffany takes me through the paces. Yep. She has me doing it in different voices. And, you know, she does all the acting things. Then she gets into the technical things, where the camera's going to be. And when the ba-ba-ba, da-da-da-da, ba-ba-ba, and they might ask you to do it this way. They may ask you to ad-lib, Bevy, because...
you never know.
3 lines went from 3 lines to 3 scenes in the first... In the first season.
And that's why you needed them 10 hours.
That's why I needed them 10 hours. And then I got called back for the second season.
Love it.
And I got a longer monologue. I got a really great, poignant monologue. And then with Tyler Lepley, and it was a crux of a storyline. And then they had me come back for season 3. And again, like me and Megan having these heartfelt, amazing moments. But if I had gone in there and been like...
That's just 3 lines.
It's 3 lines, child. I would not have 3 seasons of being on Harlem on Amazon Prime, streaming now. I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't.
You know what I mean? So I want everyone to understand it does get greater later, but you have to do the work and you must be prepared.
it gets greater later is really a statement of faith. That's
Yes.
really what that is. And in order for faith to work, you have to work it.
Because faith without works is
dead. You can't, like, that
The
is
people
faith.
don't get it.
Putting forth the effort
Yes.
is the faith.
Yes.
That's literally what's pushing you forward.
Yeah.
Not just hope. Hope and faith are two different things. I think
Yes.
people get it, their
Yes.
wires crossed
Yeah.
in that regard. They be up here hoping. You can hope you gonna win the lottery, but if you don't go run up some numbers, you're not gonna win.
Gonna get it.
You know what I mean?
You gotta be in it to win it. So yeah, but that it gets greater later just shows up in my life, all the time.
Yeah.
And it really is something that's gonna be my legacy, Danielle. That's really my good work. And I just said this on the computer. I said in 2 years' time, which I'll be 60 in 2 years. 2 years' time, people will not even remember that I will not be known for pop culture. I will not be known for pop culture. I will be known for helping to transform people's lives.
And that's what's important. And I think the older you get, that's what you start to realize. What is my life for? So when I was in college, like, the arts has always been a part of my life. I was a singer, dancer, whatever. Got to college, decided to be an actor. And the type of person I am, if I do something, I'm going to do it excellently, and I expect to be successful at it. So I wasn't getting a college degree in theater to teach theater. Not that that's a bad thing. I just didn't think that was my journey. Where I'm at right now was what I saw when I was 19, when I decided to be an actor, And so, but at that time, I was just starting off, I didn't really know what I was doing. But I think the beautiful thing about life and about being given a purpose, it's sometimes your purpose is given to you and wrapped up in something that you don't realize your purpose is inside. It's like one of those boxes where it's a big box and then a little more.
Yeah, the Russian dolls.
The Russian dolls, exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, acting was my Russian doll, It was the big one, Then I open it and then it's like, oh, producing is something that I really like to do.
Writing.
Oh, writing is something I'm actually can do, using my art to foster healing to people. Oh, like this is why God introduced this thing that I didn't even really know that I wanted to do at a later age, because he knew I'm going to have a platform for her, and it's more than just about acting on a TV show.
Yes.
It's about being able to reach people and touch people that she wouldn't have normally been able to, and to spread a message that I have for her to spread. So I think when I was, younger, it's like, I want to be an actor. I need these opportunities. I need to be able to take care of my family, whatever, and not really honing in on, there's something deeper that God wants me to do. I never thought about having a podcast. It wasn't even, I never thought about it. It wasn't anything until almost a year ago, and I was like, okay. And I keep seeing how God is, and for somebody like me who grew up in the church with, parents as pastors, you only think about doing God's work through the church.
Right.
You don't think
but every
about...
day we're doing God's work.
The church is not a building. It's the people,
Yeah.
We're having church right now.
Exactly.
Like, when I do my play, we're having church.
Of course.
So, and it was funny. Somebody left a comment on one of the other podcast episodes. It was one of the episodes that was kind of about my divorce. It was me and one of my best friends who's divorced as well. And we were talking about it. And they left a comment and they were like... In the comment it said, it seems like you were more married to your career than your husband or whatever. And then it was like, and it seems like, Rhea just got bothered with her husband. And I hope you guys find a way to honor God with your career. And it didn't bother me because I don't know this person and I don't care what they think. I know I'm honoring God through my career.
Yeah.
But my greatness, we talk about it getting greater later. My greatness is coming through all the things I've had to navigate, my failures, my triumphs, the shame, the embarrassment, the abuse, all those things that I've endured.
That you weathered through.
It's causing the greatness to
Yes.
be produced in me. That greatness doesn't come just having an easy time.
You can't have a testimony without a test.
Exactly.
You really can't. And, but one of the things I want people to understand is that even when you're in the storm, just keep going because trouble don't last always. No. That was one of the other things I would always repeat to myself as I was going to housing court or, opening up a can of salmon to make salmon croquettes, because one can of salmon can make 6 croquettes and you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for $5.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I remember those moments, and I just always will hold on to the idea that trouble don't last always, and that it does get greater later.
Yes, it does.
And it literally, you just have to stay the course. You really do have to stay the course. If you know that you're meant to do something, then you have to do it.
Yes.
And you can't allow outside folks to deter you. You can't allow social media to deter you.
Yeah.
To compare to despair. You should not be
I
looking
love
at
that.
any
To compare to
right?
despair.
But you should not be looking at anyone on social media and saying, why not me? I did a TED Talk, and it was a very successful TED Talk. And one of the things that I love the most about doing that is that TED came to me. They came to me. And the way they came to me was because I was doing my book tour. I have this program that I do called Dining with Bevy, Life with Vision. Is open to the public. You have to answer 3 questions. Who are you at your core? How are you being perceived? How would you like to be perceived? Because oftentimes there's a huge disconnect between those last 2. But if we know who we are at our core and we start living in that space, then our perception will be the reality.
Yes. Yeah.
So I do that kind of work at this Life with Vision, Dining with Bevy experience. A woman had come to one of them 10 years prior. I did this in 2022, right when my book came out. She comes up to me and she's like, this is a TED Talk. I said, oh, thank you. And she says, I work for TED.
Love it. I love it.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, it is a TED
And
Talk.
she said, yeah. And then she said, is it okay if I put your name in the hat? I said, sure. And then TED called me and we talked about what the themes could be. And then I had like maybe 4 months to get together. And most people take a year to really like hone their talk and do it. And this is nothing against TEDx or anything like that, but this is TED. This is the big stage, the big red dot in Vancouver. This is Bill Gates went before me. He was in my pod.
Whoa, that's
Bill Gates
wow.
was literally on the stage 30 minutes prior to me going on that same stage.
Wow.
And I'm doing my TED Talk as I am, curvy, high heels, titties, heaving cleavage, living in my truth in front of all these billionaires and scientists and people that nothing like me.
Yeah.
And when I came off that stage, the people went, I was a TED star.
Because people want authenticity.
But you know what? And it's beyond the authenticity. I think it's honestly, people want to be connected.
Yeah.
They want to heal.
Yes.
They want to understand other types of people. I think that, people say no new friends. I don't believe in that.
Right.
I think it's a silly idea.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm always embracing new people. And I think that even people like that live in these little tiny spaces, because that is literally a bunch of millionaires, billionaires, and scientists. That's really the core group of people that are sitting there in those audiences.
Right.
And I think they had never experienced anyone like me before, but they were happy to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the more specific you are to who you are, like, the more you resonate with everyone. Like, the more we hide who we are and try to, if you would have got on there in a button-up shirt trying to hide who you actually are,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have resonated.
Yeah, it
because
wouldn't have worked.
There's a part of you that they'd have been like, I don't believe her.
Or it just
completely.
would have been cookie cutter. Like, what we need that for?
Right.
You know, nobody can be you but you. So you might as well show up and show out. Because if you go in someplace and you're a pale facsimile, if you are just, you know, copy and paste of someone else, what's the value? There is no value system in that.
Exactly. So before we end, when we're talking about it gets greater later, I have really been thinking about aging. And I think a lot of women don't really talk about it. We don't talk about getting older, the fears we have, the things that we face, menopause. Nobody talks about it. Like, it's outside of hot flashes. Like, oh, I'm having a flash or whatever. You're like, okay, but what else?
Right.
You know, what else do you go through? You know? And I think as I'm 43 now, I have 2 boys that are, you know, I have a 13-year-old now, you know, and I still feel great. When I look at myself in the mirror, I still see my 16-year-old self.
Yeah.
However, I'm not 16 anymore. My body is telling me I'm not 16. And I'm in great shape, but shoot, like I got to get this knee fixed. Like I found a gray hair finally. I said, what? I was combing my hair. I parted it and I was like, oh, what is this lint? What is this? The feeling that I had, it wasn't like, I wasn't upset about it, but it was this interesting feeling that I have never had before.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, like I'm aging. I'm aging.
I'm good and grown.
I'm grown.
Yeah, I'm grown, right?
So I'm like, it's just a very interesting thing. And I've always wanted to, number one, I want to age gracefully.
Yeah.
I am not against anybody getting work done to their face, but because I love what I do and I'm such an expressive person, I want to keep my face like it is, so that I can express, you know.
Here's the thing about it too, and I'm just going to say this. I think a lot of this stuff that we're doing as Black women is in response to us being too worldly. Because when I think about my mother who passed away at 96 and who had beautiful skin, we don't look, no disrespect to Jessica Tandy, but when Jessica Tandy dies, she looks vastly different than when Cicely Tyson died. The melanin melanates us, and it means that we're not going, especially if we do the things that we're supposed to do.
We take care of ourselves.
Yes, we do have to stay out of the sun too. You know what I mean? We need a sun hat. We need some sunscreen.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we don't have to be doing all these things. Like, I've not had anything done, no Botox, no filler, no nothing. And people are like, oh yeah, you don't have the lines. No, and I shouldn't have them.
Right.
I should not.
Right.
It's not that time yet.
Not yet.
Maybe when I'm 90,
Right.
it'll start cracking.
Right.
So I know we all work in the public eye. We are on TV. We're, you know, on red carpets. We're doing things. People are looking at us. They're looking at every single part of us. But that doesn't mean that we have to fall victim to picking ourselves apart.
Yeah.
I refuse to do it.
Yeah.
Are there things I can do to improve something? Sure. But why do I need to be perfect?
Right. Yeah.
I'm who God made me to be.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to do is take good care of myself, try to be the best version of myself in every single, chapter in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fall prey to, because I'm on TV and I'm on a red carpet, that I can't have any, why am I concerned about a line here? Why am I concerned that when I do this,
make a facial expression,
I have like little lines that show? Why is that a bad thing? When did that become a thing?
Right.
That became a thing because these people make money out of it being a thing. It's like what you said when we first started the conversation. There's a big money in women being insecure.
Yes.
There's big money in men being insecure too, but you make the most money. If you can get an insecure woman as your customer, baby, you will become a multi-billion dollar business.
Yes.
Because women are taught that most of their value lies in their appearance.
Yes.
So if you can get these women hooked on altering their appearance, improving their appearance, no matter the cost, no matter the dangers.
Well, that part, because there's
a lot of dangers of doing all this stuff.
and it's going to come back. It's going to come back around. People are going to wonder, oh, why am I sick? Why is this happening? It's the stuff we're doing for temporary gratification. And I fell victim to it too, as far as just being on television, being too consumed with after I had my first child, I was so worried about gaining weight after, being pregnant. I didn't even gain that much. I gained 25 pounds when I was pregnant.
Yeah, but
after I had the baby, I was working out so hard. I was doing insanity. I changed my whole diet. Not only did I lose my baby weight, but I was so thin. And when I look back, see, at the time, because I do think I struggle with body dysmorphia a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because of what I do for a living, which is why you have to keep yourself in check.
Yeah.
But when I look back at those photos of myself during that time, I'm like, oh my God.
You were
I was
shrinking.
too skinny.
Yeah.
No curve, you could see it from my face. And my family and friends would be like, are you okay?
Right.
Especially my Nana, she like, girl, you show is thin.
Right.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm just changing my diet. I'm eating more healthy, and this is just what happened, me being healthy. But no, it was, I had a very traumatic birthing experience with Jackson, and I felt like I had no control over what happened. So I took upon myself, and the ADHD in me was like, I can have control over this.
Yes.
And so
that's what
now,
most eating disorders stem from, trying to have control.
Yes, and now that I'm 43 and my body is changing, and embracing the fact that my body is changing is and has been difficult for me.
Yeah.
Now, to the world, people are like, girl, you look good. You got curves, blah, blah, blah. I'm not used to being as curvy as I am.
Yes.
Right now. And I'm not even as curvy as some people.
But
for
me, you, it
Yes.
becomes a little problematic. No, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that you're talking about this so honestly, because so many women go through the same exact thing, but people don't want to hear it. I would never poo-poo someone who's like, all my life I've been a 2 and now I'm a 6, and that's a problem. Yeah, that's a big jump.
For you, yes.
And I
have to stop myself from picking myself apart in pictures and like, oh, my arm looks big, or you know what I mean? Or now my stomach is not as flat as a freaking washboard, like it was. Like there's a little bit something there.
A little pooch there.
And I'm
you're
like,
okay. Yes.
Sometimes I'm just like, oh my God,
But then those are also things that you can do with altering your diet and different things. But it doesn't mean that you have to go to extreme measures.
Doing it in a healthy
way. You don't have to jump up on nobody's table. And listen, I understand a lot of people who do surgery. Listen, even the Ozempic conversation, I think that if you are on the verge of diabetes, if you are having trouble with walking and different things like that, those drugs are amazing because guess what? It can really help you, alter, manage your weight and all that kind of stuff. So do it. But the abuse of them now, people buying them on the black market.
Taking it away from people that actually need it. Yeah.
I think we have to be careful with all that kind of stuff. And then, I just think it's really interesting that once upon a time, black women really loved the way they looked. We always had the best self-confidence. And that has now been eroded because, again, of this outside influence. I don't know when we started wanting to actually kind of look like them, but that has never been my interest. And I've worked in luxury fashion since I was 18 years old. And I'll never forget, Brooke Shields used to come in to the advertising agency I worked at. And I would always think, because we were like the same age, I'd be like, look at her. She's so pretty. Mm-hmm. But she walked down the streets of Harlem, wouldn't nobody be looking.
Oh, exactly.
Because I ain't what's hidden.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you what was hidden. I'll tell you what was hidden. Me.
Okay.
Okay?
all
Don't
them
make me
curves,
post
just
don't make me post a
gorgeous.
throwback photo. But
Yeah.
I always knew that my version of beauty,
It's different.
it was different,
Yeah.
and it was
Gorgeous.
just as valuable.
Yes. I've always been so perplexed with this idea that Whoopi Goldberg is ugly. I like literally, I don't understand it.
But
like
the great
when
thing
I
is that
look
Whoopi
at
never
her,
thought so.
Whoopi never thought she was
No,
ugly ever. And
never.
I saw interviews of her. Like, what are you talking about? And the fact that they were so bold.
Yes.
To
Say that to her.
insinuate that she was not attractive was crazy. But when I look back at like her on Ghost or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm like, ugly where?
Ugly where?
You know, so I will say now I do love my curves. I love how I look at my clothes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I'm a woman and so yeah, of course sometimes I'm like, ugh, you know, or whatever it might be.
No, I think we all go through
But
that.
I'm taking care of myself in a different way. My metabolism, I work out.
Yep.
You know, and my metabolism is different.
Yeah.
So certain things I can't eat unless I want certain things to show up.
Yes,
you
baby.
know?
When I tell
And
you I
that's
want a milkshake
okay.
so bad, I haven't had a milkshake in a
Girl,
decade.
I be wanting chili cheese fries.
I would love a chili.
Chili cheese fries.
But do you understand?
Let's have a
if-
cheat day and go.
No,
get some chili cheese
I can't afford a cheat day. So you have one. I can
have
afford
one.
one. But you know, like when I think, like, if I was to do that kind of stuff, what would happen with me is, you know, I would end up on a scooter or something. You know. You know them scooters that the people be having in the Walmart.
I do.
You can't walk around the Walmart because it's too
Right,
big.
it's too much.
And you too big as well.
But see, you
I'm
have
not-
to know.
You have to know.
You have to know for your body, and then you just have to have enough, just self-love for yourself and
for
grace
your health.
for yourself.
When I tell you, listen, one of
Yeah.
the things I just tell, you know, I'm in 2 years, 60, super excited about it. I said, only thing I want to live, I want to be healthy. I don't want to, the reason why I am on a weight loss journey is not for the vanity of it all. It's literally because
your health.
I have a torn meniscus. The more weight I carry, the more it's going to pain me.
Me too. Same knee.
Yeah. So these are the things, right? I don't want to have to take pills for, high blood pressure or something like that.
Yeah.
These are things. And when my mom passed away, I remember telling my mom, I'm going to get it together because she was in such great shape. My mom used to be, when I would be going to the gym, she'd be like, you need to let me train you, Beverly. I can get you together. You should because she was a pert little lady. She had the dynamite little shape. And when I was taking care of her the last year and a half of her life, and because she couldn't walk, and I had to change her and do things like that, I would be like, lady, you know you got a shape on you. And she would just laugh because she couldn't speak anymore. And she would just laugh and smile and everything. I'd be like, girl, you look good, girl. And I would say, I would love to take a picture of you nude. Because that's how great her shape was. She was literally like an hourglass. But I said, but then if they find in my phone, I'm going to go to jail for elder abuse.
Right.
So I couldn't do it. But I'm serious. When I thought about my mom passing, I was like, I gotta make sure that I'm living in the way that I'm honoring my mother.
Yes,
I'm honoring Geraldine Timberlake Smith. I gotta be honoring her in that way. And so that's why I'm on this journey. It's not for vanity. Of course, it's gonna be great because I already have a great shape. I have the foundation
girl,
of a great
you are
shape.
Stacked.
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes, Lord, I am.
You are.
But it's just a lot more fluff going on. So we're gonna get some of this fluff.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about women, period. Like, we know what we look like naked, and that's when we, like you said, navel gazing.
Yes.
We pick ourselves apart in the mirror before we ever go anywhere, you know, and that's where it starts. But
I'm naked in front of all the men. When I tell you I don't bring no covers.
I love it.
After sex, I'm not bringing no cover with me to go to the bathroom.
Me neither. I'm free.
Jumping up, honey.
Child.
You want to see all of it, baby.
I'm free.
You was just indulging in it. You're going to see all of it.
They don't care, though.
They
That's
don't.
the funny part. We care.
Yes.
They don't care. They don't care about no stretch marks.
No.
They don't care about if you got a fupa. They don't care about one boob being lower than the other or to the side.
And if you're with somebody who does care, you with the wrong person.
Exactly. Okay. You need to, right.
Yeah, because first of all, you shouldn't be having sex with anyone who does not honor and revere you.
Now, the one thing I do love about getting older, though, is I am much more in tune with my body and what I want sexually.
Oh, yes.
And like that feels amazing. Like being
Yeah.
in my 20s, getting married, and not really
knowing the mechanics of it all.
Yeah,
You just
and
like
now,
fumbling around and just
oh, man.
doing what you think somebody had told you to do.
Right,
and,
or not saying nothing when you
oh my
really
God,
should be
yes,
advocating.
yes.
So many of my friends, and this could be a whole other podcast episode, but so many of my friends aren't having orgasms. They're not. And if you in your 40s,
I want my money back.
You should.
I want my money
if
back.
If you are in your 40s as a woman and you're not having orgasms, that's a problem, because this is actually the best time for us until you hit, menopause or whatever. But that's
I got news for you. Menopause.
Tell us, please.
No, like literally, this is a lot, but we're gonna just talk about it. So I am still very lusty. Mm-hmm. I've not had any problems with. Sorry, gentlemen that are filming this. I've not had any problems with vaginal dryness.
Oh, that's amazing.
My sex drive is still on 10,000, 1 million, a gazillion. But I think a lot of that has to do with, my mom didn't have bad menopause. She didn't go through her menopause was really good.
Great.
And so my sister and I both are having fairly easy times in menopause. Actually, I guess I'm about at the end of mine.
Wow.
Because it's like, I'm 58 and, so I guess it'll be at the end now. But yeah, so I never really experienced those things. But my friends who have experienced those things, they get on their hormone with replacement therapy.
Okay.
They get them pellets. We don't have to be sitting around suffering.
Oh, good.
If you don't have a libido, go and see about that. Because there's
yeah.
no reason why you should not be a sexual being at every stage of your life.
Every stage of your life. Every stage. The other day I was thinking about how, if I get married again, whoever I end up with or whatever.
You think you need to get married?
Well, I don't know. I don't need to. But if I'm with someone and it makes sense, I would be open to it.
Yeah.
And because I was already married and I had 2 children, and I'm now 43, the likelihood of me having any more kids is not happening. Mm-hmm. But I thought about that the other day, and I was like, wow, like I'm now at a place in my life where bearing children is probably not a thing, And that's okay. It's totally okay. But I've already had kids.
Yeah.
And when I got pregnant at that age, I never thought about 43-year-old Danielle who was divorced, who might want to get married again. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh shit. Like that part of that season, that chapter for me is closing. And it's okay.
Yeah. It's closing, but with the miracles of science, child.
Well, that's true
the
too.
people be having babies at 50, 60 years old, child. I could have a miracle baby right now if I wanted to.
Did they freeze their eggs ahead of time? I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Yeah. But the sexual part, it's like, okay.
You got to get that together.
Yeah.
So make sure that, there's no reason for you to have no libido, no sexual interest. No.
Yeah,
go and see a doctor. It does not have to be that way.
That's good to
Go
know.
get yourself a female doctor. And then the other thing I want to say to the ladies that are watching this too, we have to start really cultivating our lives to be rich and full, so that when we do meet someone, they're coming into a situation where they're not needed, they're wanted.
Girl,
because I spent a lot of time wanting a man to do the work for me. And I can be very honest about that.
I have a podcast episode about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I expected the men to do the
good.
work for me. Mm. And now I have this analogy that I always make. My life right now is cake. It has no icing on it. Mm. Cake with no icing is very, very tasty.
It is.
You love a good piece of pound cake. But my man will be my icing.
Yes.
And icing makes the cake just a little sweeter.
Yes.
But now then sometimes the icing can make it cloyingly sweet and give you the diabetes, and you gotta get a toe chopped off. So you gotta know the difference.
Don't get your toe chopped off.
Don't get your toe chopped off. You gotta know the difference. Is this the good icing, or is this the icing that's gonna mess you up in the long term?
Yeah.
So but first of all, your foundation gotta be that you are the cake.
Yes.
You are the cake.
It's not about what you can get from someone else. It's about what you can do for yourself.
Yes.
And who you can be for yourself.
Yes.
Before you're looking for someone else to be something for you.
Yes. And so that way when the people show up, my daddy used to always say, I could take him or leave him. And, it's not to say that I don't want to be in some great, because my goal is to be in a great, monumental, loving relationship, but not at any cost.
No.
Because, first of all, if it's a great, monumental, loving relationship, it's not going to cost me nothing except my heart.
Yep.
And I'm going to get his heart.
That's
and it's going to be a mutual love fest.
Yeah, not
and that's
doing
what
that
I'm looking
again.
for.
It's no reason for it.
Yeah.
I feel at my age, there's no reason for me to get into something that I don't really want to be in. So, anyway, I love you, Bevy.
I love you. It was so good.
So good.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you guys so much for watching All the Women I've Been with Bevy Smith.
All the women I've been.